Some people might ask, but Wraith, what about starting on a 600cc motorcycle? Or a 650 or a 1000? Depends on your experience level and your level of maturity, honestly. If you have any sort of motorcycle experience, like dirt bikes or whatever, then you could probably start bigger. You could probably start on a 650. The 250, however, does have plenty of power, like I said before, and the Ninja 250 has great resale value, and it's a very highly sought-after bike. It's super common as a learner bike. So it's not difficult to find, and if you do buy one, and later down the road, like most people, you decide you want something bigger, then you can sell it pretty easily. Get that mosquito out. Then you can sell it pretty easily and get pretty close to what you paid for it, as long as you took care of it and you didn't wreck it or anything like that. So you really have nothing to lose by buying a Ninja 250. What do you gain? You'll learn in a pretty safe environment compared to like a 600. Just because there is power there, don't get me wrong, there is plenty of punch in that Ninja, but it's not overwhelming. If the first motorcycle I ever rode in my life was this CBR 600, I would have probably crashed the first time I tried to take off in it. Just because it's got so much power. And to a inexperienced rider, that can be very overwhelming. And then when you're trying to ride, personally, I think Ninja 250 is a lot more fun to ride for a new rider too. Because if you start out on a big bike, like bigger bike, I should say, like a CBR 600 or a Gixxer 600 or whatever, an R6, then you're constantly worrying about, you know, throttle control and not using too much gas, or you'll lose traction and all that. And on the Ninja 250, you don't really have to worry about that so much. You can just have fun and enjoy it, which is something I really liked. The 600s, I feel, are an intermediate level bike. You could definitely start on one if you really wanted to. I know people that have. However, a lot of the more successful riders that I know started on smaller bikes. So it's a personal decision. And like I said before in my earlier video, the Ninja 250 gets awesome gas mileage too, so it's a great commuter bike. It's probably, honestly, it's probably the perfect commuting vehicle, perfect commuting two-wheeled vehicle, I should say. It gets great gas mileage. It has enough power to keep up on the highway. It looks awesome, you know, it looks really racy and everything. It's cheap, it's affordable, it's just great. That's one thing I miss on my CBR 600RR, is these inline-4 super sports, like your R6, your ZX6R, your Gixxer 600, and your CBR 600RR, is that they're race bikes. So not only do they get pretty shitty gas mileage for a 600, but in addition to that, they take premium gasoline. So not only does this bike get, like, literally about half the MPGs that the Ninja did, but it takes premium gas on top of that. Near 91 octane or higher. So it's can't really ride it as cheaply as my Ninja. But, you know, it's a trade-off. You get a lot more performance and a lot more acceleration. It screams up high, which I really like. Plus the fit and feel of the Super Sport I really like as well. Both are great bikes to ride. So if you do want to start bigger, a 600, okay. A 1000, hell no. Do not even consider starting on a 1000. Don't even consider it. And probably the biggest piece of bullshit I hear for excuses is, oh, I'm a bigger guy, so I need a bigger bike. That is not true at all. Not in the slightest bit. Unless you weigh over 300 pounds, the Ninja 250 will pull you just fine. Let alone a 600. 600 will definitely pull you fast. You don't need to get a bigger bike just because you're a bigger dude. The Ninja 250 can pull, has a maximum, the manual says its maximum recommended load is like 300 pounds. So unless you're well over that, you shouldn't have anything to worry about. Now, it might look a little funny and a little awkward to see a really big dude on that little bike. But, I mean, it's up to you, man. Do you want to get great gas mileage and start on a terrific little bike, or do you want to start on a bigger bike and maybe wreck it and probably not have as much fun your first couple times going out? Personally, I would start on a 250, maybe a 600, especially if you have previous motorcycle experience, then maybe a 600. If you are going to start on a 600, though, if you have made up your decision, I can respect that, but I would definitely advise against starting on a 600cc super sport like the CBR 600 or a Gixxer or something like that. I would start maybe on a regular sport or a standard bike or something to that effect, because your super sports, even though they have the same number of cc's or even less cc's, I guess for this instance I'll talk about two bikes, the Kawasaki ZX6R and the Ninja 650R. So the ZX6R has 599 cc's. The Ninja 650 has 649 cc's. The Ninja 650 has a parallel twin engine, if I recall correctly, whereas the ZX6R has an inline 4, like this one, like most race bikes have. So even though the ZX6R has 50 less cc's, it is quite a bit faster than the Ninja 650. Why is this? It's because of the engine design. It's a 4-cylinder engine. It makes a lot more power, especially up high. The Ninja 650 probably has more torque at lower RPMs, but its 0 to 60 and its quarter-mile times are significant, well, not significantly, but they are lower than the ZX6R. And there's often a big debate between like your regular sport and your super sports, and it basically your regular sports like your Ninja 650, your SV 650, your I think it was called the Phaser, the FZ6R. All those bikes are quite a bit easier to ride. They have a more upright riding position, taller windscreens, etc. So they're supposed to be a lot more comfortable than your super sports. They usually take cheaper gas. They generally take a lot cheaper gas. And you sacrifice a little bit of power. So if you're starting out, truth be told, if you do want to start bigger than a 250, alright. But if you make that decision, I would say stay away from bikes like the CBR 600, the Gixxer 600, the R6. I would say if you do want to start bigger, gravitate more towards your Ninja 650s, your Yamaha FZ6R. I believe Suzuki makes a regular sport version of the Gixxer. Like they used to have the GSX 500F, I believe, a long time ago, and I think now they have the GSX 600 as opposed to the GSX 600R. I'm not sure, but those bikes are considered to be basically more roadworthy adaptations of their track-inspired counterparts, like this CBR 600.